We are renovating this classic bread oven and turn it into something we actually want to use. And we do this by trimming, demolishing, removing, lifting, dusting, drilling, pouring, hammering, cutting, sawing, fixing, studding, grinding, washing, laying, and finally tasting. We've got this old bread oven that we would like to fix up, maybe bake some pizzas on it, so we recruited some reinforcements. Let's see where they are. Looks like they're arriving.
Hello.
Hi! Now we lock it up and we won't unlock it anymore before the bread oven is restored.
Let's do it. Wow.
The first step is to clean it up. We've been using this space mostly as a storage for some chairs and some junk, but now that has to get out of the way. We also clear some of the overgrowth that has been growing freely behind the old oven. Branches and leaves, I stack them on top of the branch pile that we keep in the backyard. The birds love that place. And then it's time to start taking off some of the pieces that we don't intend to keep using. These old planks here in the back, I believe they were a weatherproofing, but since we are extending the roof length, we will not be using that anymore. And then we start with the real job, removing all the old roof tiles. The top row has been nailed into place, so I had to pull out all the rusty nails with a crowbar. A lot of the old roof tiles were in a pretty poor shape. Many of them were cracked or broken. Once we sorted out the good ones, we were left with about 2/3 of them. This kind of job is really much easier when you work in two, because I didn't have to go up and down the ladder all the time. Around the old chimney, the roof tiles were kept in place with some cement, which doubled in its function by keeping the rainwater from flowing down next to the chimney. A good roof for this kind of an old wood oven is really important because the dome around the oven is made out of natural clay. So we will make sure that we put up a proper roof to protect it from the rain. The old roof tile battens were in a pretty poor shape, so those will have to be replaced. Take down the old gutter, because even though we keep parts of this roof structure, we will be extending the length, so these will definitely be too short. still have some of the old roof tile battens that came off the roof of our house when we renovated it. The ones in a good shape, we store them into the barn to use for future projects. We swap them out one by one to make sure that the rest of the structure doesn't collapse on us. The new ones, we secure them into place with screws. There is some differences in the thickness of the battens, but we managed to fix that with a couple of filler pieces. Whoa, bringing out the big guns? That's not the roof tile batten. Now we are cutting 2 posts to lift up the roof structure. We first lift the backside and then we brace it so that it cannot fall over, and then we lift up the front side, which we temporarily stud with 2 pieces of wood. And now it's time to get my hands dirty. The exterior of the dome of the old clay oven has been damaged over time. Multiple animals had their way with it. There's types of beasts that like to dig holes in clay to make their home. And there are multiple marks of what we believe are bear claws, which probably have been looking to eat up those bees. It looks pretty cool because it has a lot of history, but we are renovating it, and that includes putting a new coat of clay on the exterior of the oven. First, it's very important to water down the dry clay to make sure that the new layer of wet clay is going to stick. I mix 1 part of natural sourced clay with 2 parts of sand. I use very fine sand of 0 to 1 millimeter, which is basically just dust. To give the new layer of clay some strength, we have to add some fibers. For this we use grass clippings, which have been drying in the field after I've mowed the grass. Once it all mixed together very well and the old clay oven is watered down properly, it's time to apply it. And this is done by hand. I first apply the clay in the holes and cracks which are the deepest, and then I spread it out with my hand. Then I dip my hands into water and then I rub the clay until it becomes one even hole. Once it's starting to dry, some small cracks are forming, but that's not a problem. I just dip my hands into water again and rub over it until the cracks are filled. Since we raised the roof, we also need to raise the chimney. We cleaned off some bits of the plaster of the old chimney, which was also built with clay mortar, so it kind of wanted to fall apart. We took off all the loose bits and then with regular cement mortar we added 2 courses of brick to make sure that the chimney sticks out above the roof. With the chimney done, I can continue with the support of the roof. On the 2 corners on the front, I built a column of brick to support the roof structure. I'm not very skilled in using masonry tools, so most of the bricklaying mortar I apply by hand to make sure that it all gets into the right place. I should have used some gloves for this work, because the next days my hands were feeling pretty funny. We also placed a couple of bricks around the base of the chimney to give it some extra rigidity, because while working on it we felt it multiple times wobble in its place. Now it's pretty sturdy. The next morning the chimney is dry and we can apply a coat of cement based plaster on the exterior to make it look like it's one piece. And then it's back to the back side of the oven, because here we would like to make an addition to the structure. A barbecue. I'm digging out about 10 centimeters of earth to make space for the base of the barbecue. With a couple of wooden planks we create the formwork for the concrete pad on which we want to build it. After compacting it, we water down the earth so any loose particles will settle. Then a layer of coarse sand. And as you can see, on both the left and the right side, the foundation will be a little bit deeper. That is because on those points we will build the brick walls. Then we drill a couple of holes to attach the concrete reinforcement to the foundation of the oven. Put in some foil to seal the concrete slab from any moisture from the ground. We add a couple of bars in the other direction as well. Tie the rebar together and spaced it off the foil with a couple of stones so that the rebar lays nicely in the middle of the concrete slab. And then some elbow grease to mix up the concrete by hand in the wheelbarrow. And it's time to shovel it into place. And after about 2.5 wheelbarrow load and a little bit of troweling, this is the result. And while the concrete is drying, it's back to the roof structure. In the front we cut the roof tile battens to even length. And in the back we extend the roof structure to also provide cover for the new barbecue. We extended the horizontal beam on which the rafters are laying and supported it with the diagonal brace. And on top of that we added one pair of rafters to support the extended roof tile battens. And now the roof structure is ready for the roof tiles. But before we can put them in place, we have to mount the gutter. We have a couple of old gutter mounts from the old roof still laying around. Some of them are longer than others, so we have to pick out the right ones. Also the angle isn't right, so I have to do a bit of hammering to get them under the right angle. We put 4 mounts in place and put up the first piece of gutter so we can test if the water flows correctly. To not have 2 separate downspouts, I decided to connect both gutters together so the water comes down on only one point. I still had 2 corner pieces that came off the old roof, and we managed to connect those together with just a couple of screws. brackets of the gutters, we need to add a little spacer so that the roof tiles can lay straight. Before we put all the tiles back on the roof, it's time to wash them. This job was a good excuse to buy a pressure washer, because who knows when it comes in handy. Taking the seasoned dirt of the old roof tiles didn't go very fast, but it made them look certainly a lot better. Now they're clean and dried, it's time to put them up. We start on one side and work our way up from the bottom until the last row, which I can't reach anymore. So I have to climb on top of the roof, which is not my favorite job. And because of the layout of these tiles, they have a half overlap. That means we need to cut half a tile for the ends of every second row. The next morning we continue with the other half of the roof when it's still a little bit cool outside. And this time we're starting with the top 2 layers of roof tiles, because on the top we need to lay the ridge tiles. It's a bit of a puzzler because they don't really slot easily into each other, but once they're all laying in place, it's actually quite a snug fit. I work my way towards the chimney, which is also a bit of a puzzle to fit the roof tiles around it. It requires a couple of cuts, but we managed to make it work. There's still a little bit of a gap remaining between the chimney and the tiles, but I will cover that up later. And then we continue with the remaining 2 rows of tiles, the 2 rows at the bottom, and the half tiles laying all the way on the edge. I screw them into the roof tile batten to make sure the wind doesn't blow them off. These old roof tiles have a factory stamp on the back of them, and they are dated 1912. Not all of them are even and straight. Some of them are actually quite a bit of a banana, so they don't always slot into the next one. But if you move them around and try them in a different place, it might work out just fine. After installing this second row here, I understand why tiles usually are laid bottom to the top, because it's quite hard to lift up the previous row to slide one underneath. Alright, that's enough for this week. We've got some bird watching to do. We continue next week with part 2, because we still have lots of work to do. Hey, that rhymed. We will make a box of OSB and fill it with concrete and lay some bricks. I also have to make the walls very wet, twice, so that we can paint them. I also have to bury some gravel, very important. And detailing, make it pretty. Maybe do some stuff in the workshop. And we have to light it up so we can make a pizza for the first time. Fingers crossed, because I really like pizza.